Who are we reading? We are reading Jamie Heath's deposition. This is Stephanie Jones' lawyer, Shaw, asking Jamie Heath questions that basically, in my opinion, are regarding Van Sham ordeal, without saying Van Zam. Be aware, Leslie testified in this case that Josh Greenstein's information that he relayed to you that it was Stephanie Jones who had contacted the Daily Mail, that information came from Leslie Sloane. So now they're throwing Leslie Sloane under the bus. Leslie told Josh, and he's like, Leslie told Josh, and she's like, yeah, did you know that? And he's like, that she testified to that? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I did not. And they're like, okay, did you know that she testified that she came to the understanding from a suggestion by the reporter, James Pachuska? And then Shapiro says, objection. The witness says, okay. And then Michelle says, you didn't know that? And he's like, I don't think so. And she's like, okay, I'm trying to. And then he says, I'm trying to follow your map. I love this. She's like, are you aware that a reporter at the Daily Mail told Melissa Nathan around this time that Colleen Hoover had in fact leaked the negative information about the production to the Daily Mail? So now it's Colleen Hoover. I mean, and by the way, again, this is Blake Lively putting this out there for everyone to see, where like Stephanie Jones' lawyer is just throwing everyone under the bus to try to save Stephanie Jones. Pretty much everyone except for Blake Lively. Like, can I ask you a question? And she's like, probably not, but go ahead. He's like, is this information just because you want me to have it or because you actually have a question for me about it? And she's like, I'm not going to answer that question. Let's move on to the next question. He's like, all right, fair enough. Tell me the basis for your allegation that Stephanie Jones and Jones Works disclosed Wayfair's confidential information. And he's like, we have learned that confidential information about our company and Justin was shared to some extent with Leslie Sloane, was also given over to Blake Lively. What is that, you guys? It's Van Sham. And it's not, the word Van Zan is not even in either of these depositions. It's just, that breaks my heart. I just, that's the only thing they could have done differently. If, in my opinion, I wish he would have been like, oh, are you talking about Van Sham? But it's okay. I understand why he didn't. So that without breaching privilege. And Shaw says, you're either going to have to instruct him not to answer or just make an objection. Don't coach. And Tabear's like, I'm not coaching. I'm instructing you not to answer. And then Shaw says, are you going to follow that instruction? And Jimmy's like, I am. So Shaw says, I'm going to hold this deposition open pending going to Judge Lyman on this question. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ms. Shaw, you're just losing. You're losing points left and right here. Now you're going to go cry to the judge. Good for you. So Shapiro says, you can do whatever you want, but let's get through the 7 hours if you're going to take them. And Ms. Shaw says, I'm going to end up taking them if we keep fighting about this. So I'm going to ask one more time. If you want to instruct him, you can, obviously. I'm going to hold the deposition open in that case, pending going to Judge Lyman to get an answer on these questions. And Shapiro says, what is your question that you think you can ask that won't require him to reveal anything he learned from his attorneys about the basis for the claims in the complaint? And she's like, I think there's nothing he learned from his attorneys. And if that's the case, I'm entitled to no answer. And Jabir says, well, I don't agree with that. And Shaw's like, okay, then I'm going to ask it again and you can give your instruction, but that's subject to leaving the deposition open. And then Jamie, he says, meaning we have to go through this again. Poor Jamie Heath. And then Shaw says, acted in malice. And he's like, in layman's terms, I can tell you. And she's like, yes, please. And he's like, I believe Stephanie Jones in her heart knows that Justin and I and Wayfair are innocent of any of these claims. The fact that she would take confidential information to give to another side, that is, she knew that we all believed had some intentions of hurting us one way or another, and to give information to support wherever they were doing was malicious. And she's like, other than that, anything else that was malicious? Notice she just like glides over that. So you're asking a non-lawyer about the basis for claims and their work. And the witness, Ms. Jamie, should I leave? I don't want to. And Mr. Glover steps in. No. And Ms. Shaw says, it's all right. You can stay for the moment. And Jamie, he's like, okay. So Ms. Shaw says, you can stay for the moment. Forward. You need to put that in your notice and say, I expect the witness to be able to come here and recite every evidentiary basis for these claims. Otherwise, to put someone on the spot, not put documents in front of them and just say, this is a high school test on the basis of your complaint. I just don't think a judge is going to see that as a determinative of the scope of the litigation going forward. I just want to note that on the record, you're free to make whatever arguments you want, but we did object to the 30B6 questions. And I do think it's a little bit of a weird kind of 30B6 to do it in a way that you're doing it. Not that you're not asking excellent questions or being very careful. Ms. Shaw says, I understand. I don't agree with that position. I don't think it's worth debating. And he's like, okay. Stephanie Jones, you need to fire your lawyers or get a refund or something, because this is so stupid. Who are hostile third parties that this allegation refers to. And he's like, I believe Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds. Okay. You then go on to allege that Jones Works did that for the specific purpose of harming Wayfair and Baldoni. What basis do you have for the allegation that Jones Works provided information for the specific purpose of harming Wayfair and Baldoni? He's like, I think I spoke to it. Number one, I do not believe she believes any of this. So for her to turn over something that's confidential, that we are alleging is confidential, and to share it in spite of that against a party that she knows had intentions of some sort, that in its very nature is malicious, and what I've learned from my attorneys. And she's like, when you say she in that last answer, you mean Stephanie Jones, right? And he's like, I believe I mean Stephanie Jones, but I'm only talking about Stephanie Jones and her Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So the she would be Stephanie Jones. And then Mr. Freeman says, as read, you're correct. Subpoena is a lie. Do you see that? I do. What evidence do you have that the subpoena was issued to Stephanie Jones and Jonesworks that had been produced in a case that was a lie? Oh my God. This is like, they're doing everything they can to dance around Van Zandt. It's just, this is so embarrassing. This is so pathetic. Any evidence or basis that you have for believing that the statement that Stephanie Jones provided information pursuant to a subpoena is a lie. Shapiro objection witness, as the CEO of Wayfair, and if I'm separating myself from Jamie Heath, the individual, I'm not sure how that works. I love him. And she's like, me neither. And he's like, think the subpoena thing is a lie. The fact that she called it a subpoena thing, that just shows that this is like like she knows this is a sham. But okay. And she's like, do you think it's kind of rich that Wayfair is asking Stephanie Jones of breaching confidentiality by providing internal text messages and information when Wayfair lawyers are doing the same thing? Did she really just ask that? She really just said, oh, it's rich for you to accuse my client of a crime because maybe your attorney is doing it too. That doesn't make your client's crime any less of a crime, ma'am. Oh my God. Oh, the stenographer. Thank you. So I think the stenographer just sneezed and he said, bless you. If I give you a okay, question. If I give you a document that is long, are you going to want to read the whole thing or can I point you to a specific paragraph and ask you a question? Shapiro objection. The witness, would you like a 9-hour deposition? Shaw, I don't think we'll need that today. Witness, okay, good. I don't want to give it to you. I'm just asking if you'd like it. Here, there you go. I'm just trying to keep myself alive. Poor Jamie. Question, is Wayfair paying any social media influencers to post content in relation to these litigations on or subject matter? Shapiro objection witness, easy, never, absolutely not. Honestly, you guys, this is from October, okay? Subpoena Gate was like over the summer, right? So she already knows all of those content creators that were subpoenaed and were like, we're not paid. We have nothing to do with this. Like they fought back. She already knows this. So why is she even wasting time asking this? God, I can't, like, Miss Shaw, like, do you know that Stephanie Jones is your client, not Blake? Because these seem like questions that Blake's lawyers probably should be asking. And they probably already did ask. So now we're probably getting double of the same questions. She's literally just wasting time here. Some of these questions, he must be like giving her a double take. Like, you do realize, ma'am, Miss Shaw, that like you are supposed to be asking questions like for Stephanie Jones. Because these are more questions like we've heard like Blake Lively's team ask. So it is kind of strange to me that like Stephanie Jones is asking them. I don't read it that way. I can fully confirm that we do not have bots. This is also not what we do. Bots look fake to anyone. The other team, I could be wrong, but I read this as the other team, as in Blake Lively is doing something very specific in terms of what they do. I know Jamie and Heath had connected on this. I don't know. That's how I read it. That's how I read it too, Jamie. I would ask her, hey, by the way, do you know that a legend on Reddit named Aaron Perez who had to start a hashtag called Stephanie Jones shoplifts because like there were all these bots that would come out whenever anyone talked about Stephanie Jones. Does your client have bots? But he's too nice. He would never do such a thing. Did you believe Jed Wallace was doing for Wayfair at this time that it was worth double the fee that Wayfair was paying to Melissa Nathan? What business is that of hers? Shapiro objection witness. I don't know how to answer that beyond I overpaid all of the time for things. If you look at what I pay people, if you look at all the emails with everything, I most of the time overpay people because I think people need to be valued for their worth. Miss Shaw, okay, I'm going. Miss Shaw, did Wayfair have any interest at the time in preventing Miss Lively from telling the truth about her experience in the production? Shapiro objection witness. This is his last statement here, you guys, and I think this was really good. So I'm going to say this slowly. Do we have any interest in preventing her from telling the truth? No, I don't have a problem with someone speaking the truth. But if someone says that, if my truth is that you're racist against me and that in this room you were calling me names and there was a clause that says I can say my truth and that was the truth, I think that's a problem. So I think there is some conversation around that. Shapiro, okay. Shaw, okay. Shapiro, I'm pretty sure we're done now. Shaw, thank you, Mr. Heath. I appreciate your time. Videographer, that marks the end of the deposition. Best month ever. Thank you, Christina and Khaleesi. And Laura's not here, but you know, she's my other mod and it's her birthday. Usually she can't come on the nighttime streams, and especially not today because it's her birthday. But I just like giving back to my chat because I have the best chat on the planet Earth. All right, sweet. The Doxxgate is not over yet. So there's going to be more and I'll be covering it when we get there. And yeah, thank you so much, you guys. I will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much again.